In a small Slavic village, Philippe is peer pressured into participating in pranks by his neighbor and friend Johann. It's just a prank until one goes too far and everything turns into a nightmare. It's Just a Prank follows the story of Philippe, a young school student in a small Slavic village. Philippe's routine consists of eating breakfast cereal that his mother somehow slides under the door, getting ready for school, and then walking to school with his friend Johann. Johann even does the millennial thing where you call or text that you're outside versus knocking on the door. The pair walk to school, with Johann hinting that a classmate, Agatha, must have pranked them the day before and that he plans to settle the score. Johann also whips out a new boombox and blasts his music on the way to school. He's definitely the person who sits in public blasting music from their phone. Upon arriving at school, Johann wastes no time on starting the pranks. He passes Philippe a whoopee cushion to use on a fellow classmate. Gustav falls for it. I'm guessing he's colorblind since he didn't see the bright pink cushion in his seat. During roll call, the teacher shames Agatha for the prank she did the day before, indicating that someone was a snitch. The school day continues on, and so does Johann's thirst for pranks. He hands Philippe a canned soda that's been shaken up harshly. He instructs for it to be given to Agatha. Agatha declines the soda at first and shares that she's terrified of her dad after someone snitched on her. She begs Philippe to say Johann snitched and lied to spare her from her father's wrath. In a better mood, Agatha accepts the soda and then swiftly becomes soaked in carbonated beverage. After school, it's revealed that Agatha is actually friends with Philippe and Johann, despite the shenanigans and pranks they seem to play on each other. Agatha reminds Philippe that he has to tell her dad that Johann lied or she'll be in big trouble. She heads off and Johann and Philippe carry on their way. Upon revealing Agatha's request to Johann, Johann claims that Philippe cannot do that. He continues on that he's had issues with Agatha's dad in the past. Since it's her dad, he's likely to be more lenient on her, Johann seems certain of. Johann stops Philippe and meets his gaze with an odd look on his face and asks him who is more important, him or Agatha. The tension builds, but before it can pop, a beaver jumps out, of all things, and jump scares the kids. The beaver reminds Johann that he had a stuffed beaver at some point, but his stupid mother left it behind when they moved. He mentions he'll make a new one himself and has been practicing on rats. Well, if that doesn't sound like early serial killer behavior, then I don't know what does. The pair split up to go home and settle in for the evening. Philippe's mom serves dinner with another magical bowl that slides under the doors, and it's Philippe's favorite, fruity cereal. The only thing he'll eat, apparently. The phone rings after dinner with a man's voice yelling slurs and commands. It's Agatha's father, and apparently Agatha has already told him that Johann was the snitch. An anxiety-inducing amount of time passes while Agatha's father demands answers. In the heat of the moment, Philippe can't betray Johann and confesses that Agatha is lying. Agatha's father slams the phone down, but misses the actual base, and Johann can hear everything that happens. The next morning on the way to school, Johann recants the story of a brick flying through his window the previous night. The person who threw it screaming outside. Of course, it was none other than Agatha's dad. Philip reassures him that he did not tell on him. On the rest of the way to school, Johann mentions he has been setting rat traps and caught one that he proceeded to torture before killing it. He even mentions that this one didn't smell all that bad. Again, early serial killer vibes much? After arriving to school, Johann notices a classmate left his orange juice bottle out on his desk. Johann has the bright idea to swap out Philippe's disgusting tomato juice with the orange so that the classmate will be grossed out. I guess he can't tell the difference between orange and red? He falls for it and proceeds to vomit everywhere. Later in the day, Johann dares Philippe to throw paper balls at the teacher while she's writing on the board. He nails his shot right in the back of her head, causing the teacher to go into a rage. After the teacher leaves, Johann asks Philippe to distract Agatha for another prank. Press the like button if you think Johann is a brat. When Agatha returns to her desk, she screams, finding a dead rat on her desk. Philippe isn't happy with Johann, suggesting that he went too far this time. The replacement teacher arrives and blames Agatha for the prank. Agatha fakes an asthma attack to get out of class, and Philippe is instructed to ensure she gets home. While walking, they both agree that Johann's pranks are going too far. Agatha insists on playing instead of going home, which Philippe reluctantly agrees to. just as Johann arrives, having snuck out of class. Johann defends his prank as payback for her dad's behavior the previous night, and suggests they all go play hide and seek in the woods. The kids have fun for a while and take turns being the seeker. Johann almost seems like a well-behaved kid at this point. It becomes Agatha's turn to seek. Philippe goes off to hide and hears a strange thud. Philippe returns back to where Agatha was counting, only to find her on the ground, blood pooling beneath her head. Johann had tied her shoelaces together while she was counting, and as she moved, she tripped and appears to have hit her head on a large rock on the ground. The two argue briefly about the situation, and Philippe returns to school for help. Being fed up with all the pranks, the teacher refuses to hear Philippe out, and instead forces him into detention until the end of the day. This is why we don't cry wolf and play pranks, folks. Hours later, Philippe runs back to the woods, but is unable to find Agatha or Johann anywhere. Assuming Johann found help, Philippe does the only thing he can do, and returns home. After sitting at home and being unable to reach Johann on the phone, Philippe's mother brings 2 bowls for dinner. More fruity cereal, of course. Philippe, confused, inquires about the second bowl. His mother confesses that Johann came by earlier and that she let him in to wait in his room. Philippe feels the hairs on the back of his neck stand up. Johann was nowhere to be seen. Or so he thought. The next morning while getting ready, Philippe finds Agatha's asthma inhaler in his wardrobe, not entirely sure how it got there. While at school, Philippe notices both Johann and Agatha are absent, and worry starts to claw from inside his stomach. When Philippe sits down, a nail pierces his backside. Someone had placed him in his chair. The teacher, refusing to believe, forces him to clean up the mess. After school, Philippe gets that spine-tingling feeling again. The hairs on the back of his neck stand at attention, ready to march. He rushes home as fast as he can, not daring to look behind. Philippe gets home and finds his mom on the night shift for the evening, and he will be home alone. He tries to remain calm and considers calling Johann's house. It's not quiet for long until he hears someone in his house, and then a knock on his bedroom door. After calling out, the voice on the other side reveals themselves as Johann and claims Agatha is with him. Philippe, in a fit of anger, tells Johann that his pranks are terrifying and gets him into constant trouble. Johann sounds sincere and offers to make amends with Philippe's favorite treat, strawberry cake. Philippe opens the door slowly. Johann ensures Agatha will be right back as she had to use the bathroom. Philippe, under Johann's guide, goes to slowly open the cake box, only to see the head of Agatha. Johann smiles, and Philippe's fate likely becomes the same.